Okay, welcome to day 2 of our article on the Tokyo Olympic Games and how they're taking the Games into the future. Today we're going to find out exactly how they're doing it, so let's get right into it.
Reading.
Tokyo Olympics take the Games into the future. The Japanese are well known for their modern technology, and the 2020 Summer Olympics will be their chance to shine. Don't be surprised to see little wheeled robots dash onto the field to retrieve a javelin or a shot put. And to the delight of spectators, these charming helpers will deliver snacks and drinks. The robots' 2 principal designs are based on Tokyo's official Olympic mascots, Meraitowa and Someiti. These machines cannot talk, but they have been given star-shaped eyes that can display expressions while interacting with people. Their human-like arms and legs will make them move naturally when greeting guests and athletes at the sports venues. One of them might even carry the Olympic torch in the opening ceremony. Some of these robots will be sent across Japan to bring the spirit of the Games to spectators in remote areas. The other robots to watch out for are the field service assistants. These little cars are more practical than cute. They have only one job: to remove objects from the field after they've been thrown. Electronic robots were used at the Olympics in Beijing and London. But knowing the Japanese, they're sure to take these machines to the next level.
All right, so our article for today is going to be kind of looking at some of the things we'll be seeing in the Olympics, hopefully, this summer in Tokyo, but not so much about the sports as about some of the other stuff. And of course, since it's Japan, well, we're going to expect some technology. As it says in our sentence, the Japanese are well known for their modern technology. Yeah, and the 2020 Summer Olympics will be their chance to shine, from robotic sushi restaurants to hotels where robots help you check in. The Japanese definitely love their technology, and we love going there because every time I go there, you always see something new and cool, and 5 or 10 years later, you see it in the world, but often it starts off in Japan. So what kind of technology will they be putting into the Olympics?
Well, you mentioned robots, and that's where we're kind of looking.
Cool.
It says, don't be surprised to see little wheeled robots dash onto the field to retrieve a javelin or a shot put. Javelin, of course, like a spear. Shot puts are the big heavy balls, both of which are thrown in some of the field events. So we here use the word dash. The robots dash onto the field. Dash means to run quickly. It's not a slow walk. It's a very quick, usually very short distance run. You don't dash for a long distance. You dash for a short distance. Here's an example. Wilfred dashed into the station because he was late for his train, so he ran quickly to make sure he'd get it. And these robots will be dashing onto the field to retrieve stuff.
That's right, as Pat said, javelin, shot put, the hammer, the discus, these are all throwing events, and no one wants to go out there and get that thing and bring it back every 2 minutes after some other guy or lady throws it. So they have these robots do the job of going out to get it and bringing it back, and that is what the verb retrieve means. When you retrieve something, it's something that's been put somewhere far away from you, or at least a distance from you, and you have to go and get it and bring it back. You know, when you were playing baseball with your friends as a kid and it was just 2 of you, and the one guy was batting and he'd hit the ball, and the other guy who threw the ball would have to go and get the ball every time and bring it back. It's not fun, but one person has to retrieve that ball, or else you need a lot of balls, because you can't play baseball or something without it. And if it's far away, you gotta go get it and bring it back. You have to retrieve it. So the robots will be doing that.
Okay,
that's cool.
So that's one robot job. We also see, and to the delight of spectators, these charming helpers will deliver snacks and drinks.
Not just to the athletes, but to the people watching?
So it seems.
Cool.
So here's one of today's grammar patterns. To the delight of someone. We can also say to someone's delight. It works either way round. This sentence pattern shows someone's reaction to something that happens. So we use a noun and we could say to somebody's delight, to someone's anger, to someone's disappointment. So delight, anger, disappointment are all nouns. So we could say to someone's sadness, to someone's anger, and that's their reaction to this thing. For example, to Jamie's disappointment, he didn't get the job he applied for. It's similar to saying Jamie was disappointed because he didn't get the job he applied for, but we're using to Jamie's disappointment and we're using the noun disappointment. And here we're talking about the spectators to delight, to the spectators' delight.
Yeah, well, hopefully if you have something that lots of people are watching, the audience, the spectators, they're feeling delight in what they are seeing, because that's kind of like joy, pleasure, great happiness. They're really liking it. They're loving it. This is the best. They're having a really good time. That's what the feeling of delight is, when everything's good and you're really enjoying yourself. For example, the magician began making balloon animals to the delight of the children. The children were like, boring. No, they're like, wow. And they're like, can I have the giraffe? They loved it. They were having the best time.
Yep, and in this case, it's the spectators who are delighted, which is the adjective form. A spectator is a person who watches something, in particular, a sports game or something like that. You could be a spectator at a parade with a lot of people passing by. You're there to watch it. You've usually bought a ticket and you're seeing what happens and just enjoying anything you can see. And these spectators will get to experience charming little robots.
Charming little robots. So many things in Japan are charming. They're appealing. They kind of make you feel good. They make you feel interested. They make you feel like you're really enjoying it because there's something special about that thing. There's something that kind of draws you in. We talk about people being charming. If you're good at meeting strangers, make people feel warm and comfortable even 5 minutes after you met them. Someone would say you're a very charming person. Or we could go to a place, a little village in the mountains with cute little houses, and it looks just like a storybook picture. You could say, what a charming little village, or something like that. And many of these little characters that they have in Japan, from Hello Kitty to Gudetama, are designed to be charming. They're cute, they're cuddly, they're something you want to take home and love and hug because there's something very attractive and appealing about them. For example, Rick's grandfather is a charming old man. It was wonderful talking to him. Even though the kids were younger, he's an older guy, they just loved him. They thought he was the best.
Okay, what do we learn about all these robots that we're going to see at the games? We see the robots' two principal designs, so the two main different designs of robots, are based on Tokyo's official Olympic mascots, Mirai Toa and Someati. I think that's how you say the names. Whatever, these are mascots. Mascots are characters that act as both a cheerleader for and a symbol of a sports team or company. Japan's companies are big on mascots like Hello Kitty for Sanrio, I think.
Sure, yeah.
Disney's mascot is Mickey Mouse, and all the characters that appear at the theme parks are mascots. Many sports teams have somebody in a big kind of funny costume. They are mascots. They get the team excited, but they also act as a symbol of the team. My team has had a bear in the past. Now I think it still has Robin Hood. Guy in a Robin Hood costume walking around getting everybody excited.
He's a mascot, kind of like a big living cartoon character.
Yeah.
And of course they'll have t-shirts and little things and all sorts of stuff with the mascot on it. Now let's get back to these little robots that are in the shape and style of the official mascots. It says these machines cannot talk, but they have been given star-shaped eyes that can display expressions while interacting with people. Okay, so they won't actually talk, which is probably good because that's complicated and people from all over the world will be going there.
Yeah.
So if they can express themselves, if they can communicate with people by using other expressions, that would be good. And here we're talking about expressions in their eyes, expressions that show their feelings, because that's what expressions are. We make expressions with our face. We smile, we frown, we look sad, we look angry, angry. These are expressions. I don't have to tell you I'm happy or sad or angry or scared. You can just look at the sort of shape and position, how my eyes and mouth and other parts of my face are working, and these expressions will give you a message. They will communicate without needing words. For example, I could tell by her expression that she was starting to get angry. Her eyes were getting small, her eyebrows went down, her mouth was a tight line. She did not look happy.
Yep, and these robots will use their facial expressions to interact with people. To interact means to engage with someone. They do something, you do something in response, they do something in response to that. It's a back and forth, like a conversation of some sort. Both of you are doing things to communicate something. That is interacting. During an interaction, both parts do something. So if you interact with, say, you go to a museum, if you interact with a display, it means you could touch it and it will do something, something like that. And same with these robots. You could maybe ask them something or tap a button and something would happen. That is an interaction, which is the noun form. You are interacting with them. Here's an example. Servers in restaurants have to be good at interacting with customers. They've got to respond to customer questions. They've got to seem happy, so everybody's happy when people are doing things with each other. So how does this happen then with these robots?
Well, of course, they have those eyes that can display different expressions. And then we also learn their human-like arms and legs will make them move naturally when greeting guests and athletes at the sports venues.
So like a wave. Or
so they're not some kind of like weird blob or a robot with no arms. They have arms and legs, and like you said, you can shake their hand or wave at them or give them a high five or things like that. So that would be even more enjoyable and make them even more charming when the tourists and visitors interact with them around the different venues that people will be going to. A venue is basically a place where an event of some kind of special kind happens. We can use your home as a venue for something, but generally it's more of a planned place for that kind of thing. A theater is a venue for live performances. A concert hall or a big stadium could be a venue for sports, for a circus, for a big concert, for a big meeting or something like that. But basically, it's the place that people go to do some kind of special event or special activity.
Yep, and this is not all that the robots will do. The article says one of them, so one of these robots, might even carry the Olympic torch in the opening ceremony.
Wow.
So that's a big part of the Olympics. They have the big ceremony, the athletes walk around, they've got flags, and they light the big fire from the torch. The torch has been carried around the world for a year or so before the Olympic Games. A torch is a stick with a fire on the end. This, in case it's not a wooden stick, I think it's metal, has a gas fire coming out of it. People have carried it around and they'll use that to light the big fire. I should also point out in the UK, if you're talking about a flashlight in US English, we would call that a torch. The thing with a battery and the electric light, we still say torch, but torch is also a stick with a fire on.
All right, very interesting. So yep, they'll still be using the torch, but maybe a robot will be carrying it, and I would bet that's the first time in Olympic history a robot's carried the torch. And as Pat mentioned, they'll have this torch and it will light a big fire that will burn nonstop for the 2 weeks that the Olympics goes on. And that whole thing begins, the Olympics begins, and the big fire is lit from the torch at this opening ceremony. A ceremony is basically kind of a formal occasion. It's planned, there will be different parts of it. You know, people might make speeches, there'll be different activities or actions that people do, and it's to celebrate a particular event. We might call it a ritual. We could call a wedding a ceremony, right? It's a ceremony when two people are going to join together to make a family for the rest of their lives. We can have serious ceremonies, fun ceremonies, big ceremonies where thousands of people go, or little private ceremonies just for you and your family and friends. But it's an organized, planned event, usually for some kind of serious or solemn occasion. You want to mark it with a nice ceremony.
So we've got robots getting things off the field, robots serving drinks in the stand, robots outside the venues, and robots at the ceremony. But there is more. We see in the article that some of these robots will be sent across Japan to bring the spirit of the games to spectators in remote areas. So, of course, the main games are going to be in Tokyo, maybe with some things like the surfing a bit further out.
Sure.
But the rest of Japan won't get that. It's only Tokyo and the area. So the robots will go out to these remote areas away from the big cities just to allow people to kind of enjoy it and feel as though they're there. Maybe they'll help broadcast the games, show pictures of what's happening, all of those kinds of things. But we're not done with robots. There are even more.
That's right. They're going to have other robots doing other special jobs. It says the other robots to watch out for or to pay attention to are the field service assistants. FSA. We can kind of see that's their official name because of the capital letters. Not quite sure what the field service assistants are. We'll find out in a second. But yes, we were told to watch out for these special robots that will also be part of the Olympics. To watch out for, look out for, pay attention to. Don't forget to notice these things. Don't ignore them because they will be happening. It is interesting, so keep your eyes peeled because you don't want to miss that. You want to watch out for that.
Yeah, now we've talked about these robots kind of looking like humans and with faces and arms and legs, but we see that these little cars are more practical than cute. So these are kind of little robot vehicles, so maybe they'll shoot around and do various things, maybe like the ones that pick up the javelins, but they could be bringing on drinks or medical supplies.
Cameras on them to get cool angles.
Get stuff that's going on, clean up the sand after like the long jump or something for all I know. But whatever they're doing, it's practical. And practical means useful. It has a purpose that a lot of people will find, okay, this is good. They're doing a job. They're not just there to look funny or look cute, they're actually fulfilling some kind of purpose. That is what practical means. Here's an example sentence. People who live in the country will find it more practical to own a car than people who live in a big city. Because of course in a big city you could use buses, MRTs, taxis. You might not need a car. I certainly don't. But if I lived in the countryside and needed to drive, it was important and useful, a car would be very practical because I would drive it almost every day.
There you go. It's really useful and it makes your life convenient. Now these field service assistants, let's find out what they do. It says they have only one job, to remove objects from the field after they've been thrown.
Okay, so it is the little javelin collecting
guys. But now we know their official name, the field service assistants. Good job, guys.
Okay, so we did say this was maybe the first time robots were involved, certainly in the opening ceremony, but we have seen robots at other Olympic Games. We see in the article that says electronic robots were used at the Olympics in Beijing. So what was that, 2016?
2008.
Oh, 2008. And London, which was definitely 2012. So Brazil, it was Rio, wasn't it, that had that? 2016. So we have seen these robots doing things maybe in a smaller way, like just like cameras, or maybe like measuring like who crossed the line first, that kind of robot. Nothing too clever. But it's going to be different now.
There you go. They're going to be carrying things around. They've been doing that in big athletics competitions for a little while. But of course, since it's the Japanese, they're going to take these basically little remote controlled car with a discus or whatever on the back, and they're going to make it way cooler. But knowing the Japanese, they're sure to take these machines to the next level. Maybe they'll be automatic, guided by GPS. Who knows what they'll be doing, but they're going to be really cool. So again, something to watch out for. Now, to take something to the next level, we said the Japanese will take these robots to the next level. That means kind of make something better, improve it in a really noticeable way. Every few years when a new iPhone or something comes out, they're like, oh, we've taken it to the next level. Now you can make coffee with your iPhone by pointing it at a cup or something like that.
I'd buy that.
It's not a small improvement. It's a really big, impressive improvement that you are definitely going to notice because they're taking it to the next level, almost like they're making it all over again. They're reinventing something, so it's going to be quite different from how it was before.
So we have an extra sentence pattern here. Knowing someone or something followed by a clause that gives some kind of conclusion. And we use this to say that you know this thing. You're aware of its qualities, its character, its beliefs, and so on. And because of this experience and knowledge, you can make a conclusion. So, for example, we could say, knowing Karen, or from my experience of Karen in the past, she'll have done a good job. Now, you're using this pattern to show that you have a good basis, some knowledge, some experience, some facts before you make this statement or conclusion. So you've got a good reason for saying what you're saying. We say, knowing the Japanese, the robots are going to be really cool, because most people know that Japan is very keen on making robots. It uses robots a bit in its daily life. We understand that, and many people know this about the Japanese, so therefore it's a safe, solid conclusion to say that their robots will be even better than anything we've ever seen, and will take it to the next level. Well, that brings us to the end of our 2-day article, so we'll go now to our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
So the question is, what other things do you think the Japanese do well besides technology? What else do you think they will show off during the opening ceremonies? Now that's a good point. Opening ceremonies for the Olympics often highlight all the things the country and the city is known for. I remember the London 2012 ones that had a little bit of James Bond and the Queen.
That's
Mr.
right.
Bean was playing music.
Sure.
There was cricket matches. There was all sorts of things that people think of when they think of England. So what can we expect in Japan?
Well, I'm really expecting technology that is going to blow our minds. I remember just 2 years ago in Pyeongchang in the last Winter Olympics in South Korea, those drones they had flying around making shapes and dancing in the sky. I was watching it at home and I'm like, what is that? And they said it's drone. I was completely amazed. So if they can improve on that, which I'm sure they will, it's going to be, well, taken to the next level, that's for sure.
I guess the Japan, when I've been to Japan, I've always noticed how well organized and
organized,
orderly,
very clean.
kind of very polite, sort of the way things are done. So I imagine this opening ceremony is going to be pretty organized. It's going to be very slick. It's going to be smooth. It's going to be nice and orderly. I think it'll also be pretty cute.
It'll be cute
It'll be kawaii.
And another thing they've done, which I think is great, I've been paying attention the last few years, they've really taken ecological ideas, having a very small environmental footprint, a very green games.
Okay.
So I think some of the things that they're going to come up with might become common around the world in a few years. So that's going to be another thing.
Recyclable stuff, renewable energy.
Stuff, using energy in a very efficient way, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
efficiency is something I would associate with the Japanese. So yeah, it'll be quite efficient in what they do, given the materials they bring. So that's what we can expect. Will we find out this summer? Will coronavirus cancel the Olympics, meaning we won't
delay
find
them,
out
hopefully, maybe
till later in the year or something like that? Who knows? It's all a bit up in the air. We don't quite know how it's going to play. Let's hope the Olympics go ahead and everything goes well. We'll hopefully find out and see who wins.
Yes.
We'll talk to you again soon for English for You. I'm Pat.
I'm Mike.
And we'll see you later.
Sayonara.
Tokyo Olympics take the games into the future. The Japanese are well known for their modern technology, and the 2020 Summer Olympics will be their chance to shine. Don't be surprised to see little wheeled robots dash onto the field to retrieve a javelin or a shot put. And to the delight of spectators, these charming helpers will deliver snacks and drinks. The robots' two principal designs are based on Tokyo's official Olympic mascots, Meraitowa and Someiti. These machines cannot talk, but they have been given star-shaped eyes that can display expressions while interacting with people. Their human-like arms and legs will make them move naturally when greeting guests and athletes at the sports venues. One of them might even carry the Olympic torch in the opening ceremony. Some of these robots will be sent across Japan to bring the spirit of the games to spectators in remote areas. The other robots to watch out for are the field service assistants. These little cars are more practical than cute. They have only one job: to remove objects from the field after they've been thrown. Electronic robots were used at the Olympics in Beijing and London. But knowing the Japanese, they're sure to take these machines to the next level.
Vocabulary Review.
Dash. The cat spotted the mouse and suddenly dashed across the park to catch it. Delight. Every night, the TV talk show host brought delight to his viewers with his funny interviews with famous people. Charming. It's common to see clothing companies hiring charming models to attract their customers. Expression. I could tell by the expression on Julie's face that she was having a really fun time. Interact. My job in the store requires me to interact with many types of customers. Practical. Riding a bike isn't the most comfortable way to get to work, but it's fast and practical.
字汇小补帖
Retrieve. Spectator. Mascot. Venue. Torch.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net